What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am here with Rachel O'Brien. I've known Rachel for quite a few years now, and I've really watched you, Rachel, just change your relationships to business, your money flows. Like, you've just been in massive creation, and let's dive in. So today we're talking about going beyond need with business. Thank you for being here.
Oh my God, thanks so much for having me. It's so much fun. I love your theme music and I love the theme of your radio show, Going Beyond the Impossible. Yay! More of that, more of that. Woohoo!
Yep. Awesome. So we said, going beyond need with business, and I'm sure there's people going, what the heck are you talking about? So would you say more about that? We'll just start there.
Yeah, so most people love to believe that they need things, and this actually takes you out of true choice. So what if you looked at everything in your life as a choice? If you do business, do you need to do it, or is it a choice? But we actually have been entrenched with so many viewpoints about need, and all need is a compulsion. So basically need means that I lack this. Whereas what we're inviting you to with the Joy Business, both Venus and I are Joy Business advanced facilitators. And what we invite people to look at is it true that you need business, or is it actually a choice to actually be and do business? So one of the first questions we ask is, what have I decided is a necessity? And is this really a necessity, or is it a choice? So what it starts to do is, if you wake up in the morning and you have this sensation that you haven't got a choice and you need to do business and you need to get it right and you need to be perfect and you need to have a result, then there's a lot of conclusion and there's a lot of projection in that, and there's no fun in it whatsoever. Whereas what if every single morning that you wake up and went, okay, today would I like to be in business? Hell yes. Okay. Is it a necessity to be in business? No. Or is it a choice? I'm choosing this. And then if I make the choice joyfully right now to be in business, well, what am I in this for? What would I like to create? And for me, it's really lovely for it to be about choice. And we talk in the Joy Business that it's about creating awareness and more choice. And this is also how we create money, by choice, awareness, and even more choice, and by choosing more. And you were saying that you've watched me grow and expand my choices. I finally have a reason to have money. Money didn't ever really mean much to me. Whereas now I'm in France at the moment in a city called Lyon. And j'adore Lyon. And one of the areas that inspired me to have money was that I knew that I could contribute to people's lives being greater and show them that a greater set of choices was available through facilitating the work of access consciousness and the tools. And so for me, it's an inspiration now to have money so that I can pay for venues, I can travel, I can meet people. So really this stepping into choice and stepping into creation is coming out of judging anything in your life and coming out of being a failure or coming out of lack, coming out of scarcity. And then when you're choosing to not judge and you begin to show up and start to actually create your life.
Wow. What a great introduction. So I know that there's somebody listening right now that's saying, okay, but I need to pay my bills. So how do you talk to people about how do you change that perspective? What questions do you ask to have them see it a different way?
So I need to pay my bills. In other words, you're saying, I haven't got a choice to pay my bills. So first of all, what I would ask is, what have I decided is a necessity?
Mm.
And is it true that it's a necessity? I mean, if you don't pay your bills, if you don't pay your rent, you'll just get kicked out of your apartment or your house and you'll be on the street. So for me, it's like, I like living in a really lovely house. I like, nice things. So as long as I function from that, I can actually create trust in myself to know that I can choose to create money. Everything in my life always works. Whereas need, the definition of need is to lack. We don't live in a world that is lack. There is an abundance of money everywhere. So this is where we're taking you out of scarcity and lack and what you haven't got and what you have to get, and actually giving you tools to allow you to choose to create money, choose to create your life. And that allows people, usually they get way happier.
Because everything is just a choice. That's awesome.
And you can defend your need. I mean, if that's something that's fun for you, if you, like, one of the things about need is that need is a justification of an invented point of view. Mm. So if you're justifying, you've got to invent a story or a need to justify that point of view. In other words, I am right with this point of view and here's my justification of it. So this is one of the things that we get you to look at in Access, is that all need is an invention where you have to justify your point of view and be right. And would you rather be right or would you rather be free?
Mm. Can you say more about that?
Sure. So the tools in regard to choice are tools that are here to actually set you free. And you have to look at in your life, would you rather be right about your fixed point of view and defend your lack and your necessity, or would you prefer to live in the freedom? And freedom is always that everything is an interesting point of view. Need is an interesting point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view about paying my rent. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view that I lack money, that I am separate from it, that money isn't a choice. Interesting point of view, that I have bought that this is a necessity, and is that actually true and real? So this is where the question, when you ask the question, it opens the door to something beyond the answer that you currently have. A lot of us have been entrained into, we haven't got enough money, we haven't got enough sleep, and we have to get up in the morning then and do the right thing to get the right amount of money. And this is what we're looking to facilitate you out of. If you actually were the kindness of you, and if you acknowledged that you are an infinite being with infinite choice. And when I say an infinite being, this is one of the concepts of Access. You have the ability to be, do, have, create anything. And when you start to step into this energy of, I can be, do, have, create, and generate anything, that is where you can actually step into the generation and creation of your life and step out of all lack and step out of need.
So basically you're saying anything is possible.
What? No, you can't say that.
The theme of the show. This is awesome. So have you always been someone who was needless?
No.
So would you share with our listeners maybe how you changed? What are some ways that you changed your point of view so that you didn't see the lack and the need?
Yeah, so basically I was needless as a little girl, and then as children we physiologically and psychologically mimic our parents' pathways to life, to money, to business, to relationships. We mimic their pathways of fear. Fear is always that I'm unable to change this in my life. We mimic their pathways with money. doubt, lack of trust. So for me, I grew up with a very needy mother that had a lot of lack. And I took on that point of view and I exacerbated it. You know, and we have this tendency to exacerbate points of views. And then one day I recognized that I don't need anything. I can choose everything. And what questions can I ask to create money? What questions can I ask to create paying my mortgage? What questions can I ask to make my life worth living? Which is a question Gary Douglas, the creator of Access, invited me to. Like, what if your life was worth living? And what would it take for your life to be with ease, joy, and glory?
Beautiful. So you mentioned something a little bit back about like interesting point of view. What would you say more about that?
Yeah, so this is this phenomenal tool. Don't use it because your life will get a whole lot more ease. And when you look at the tool of interesting point of view, what it actually does is it allows you to look at every single point of view that makes life difficult. And what most of us do is that we avoid looking at what our point of view is that keeps a certain lack in place. And what we invite you to in Access is to look at your point of view. Your point of view creates your reality. Don't avoid your point of view. And one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself is when you're no longer avoiding your points of views, you're no longer avoiding your life. If you choose to be the space of everything is just an interesting point of view, what occurs is every situation in your life will show up with ease. And this interesting point of view space gives you the space to recognize the point of view where you're currently functioning from. And guess what? If that isn't working for you, you can actually choose another point of view.
What? You can write it?
You can actually script the molecules. Everything that you say and do creates your life. Everything you are connected to every single molecule in the universe. Every billions of molecules, and you're connected to every single one of those. And you are the maestro, you are the commando, you are the conductor of your life. And your point of view creates your reality. So if you're not willing to look at, what point of view created this lack? What point of view created this upset with money? What point of view created this with my business? You know? Mm-hmm. So this is where you can actually take true ownership, and you could actually begin to access all the infinite possibilities and the infinite prosperity and the infinite abundance and the banquet that is actually available that the universe desires to give you.
What would you say to somebody who couldn't, they're so used to their parents' point of view and operating from this reality, how, and they wouldn't even know what to ask for or how, what would how would you have them look at a different point of view? What if they're I just don't even know what a different point of view would be. This is all I've ever known.
Yep. So if I had no rules, regulations, and no reference points, what would I choose? What would I create? Mm. Your reference points, let me just talk about reference points a bit. We talk about these quite a lot in the Joy business. And a reference point is an old point of view that you are maintaining. So a lot of us have reference points to business, to money, to relationships, and we don't even realize that they actually create and hold problems in place in our lives. So what you can start to do, you can start to right now, is you can start to destroy and uncreate every single reference point that you have in your life and in your business.
And reference points are basically points of view that we've adopted that somebody else probably taught us or showed us.
Yeah, they're maintenance of belief in an objective. Every reference point is a road, a one-way road to always being right about your point of view. And
like
what
it
we
can
do
only
is
be done that way, one way, and only that way.
Yeah, one way. And you're like, what people also create reference points. So let's say if you have an old belief saying I'm not good enough to do business, which was my belief, I had a choice to maintain that belief and recreate it every day. Or I had a choice to be, is that really the point of view that is going to work for me in business and what I would like to create in the world and how I would like to impact the world? And then I got really honest with myself and said, no, it's a choice. Reference point gives you the place in the world which you can actually, where you fit in, and they create limitation. So for me, I looked at my reference points, being Irish, grown-up Catholic girl, single parent family, no money, a lot of lack. And all of that led me to a one-way road to more limitation, less possibilities, less money, not working for myself, not generating my own business. And I demanded that would actually change and I could create a different reality.
Well, we are going to talk more about this. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back right after a few words.
Woohoo!
Yay!
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Who said life had to be hard and disempower you? What if all of life really could come to you with ease and joy? What if everything you saw as a wrongness of you was actually one of your greatest strengths? What if you could wake up every morning with a newfound sense of empowerment? Join Venus Castleberg to discover a world of infinite possibilities. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, Morning Musings goes live on the Venus Castleberg CF Facebook page. What magic can we create every day?
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Rachel O'Brien, and we are talking about going beyond need with business. Wow. And, it's really funny because during the break I heard Simone Millicers is the founder of Joy of Business, which we're both facilitators of. And she said, business is hard. And I was like, you know what? So many people actually believe that business is hard. Could you speak to that a little bit, Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the point of view that business is hard, your point of view creates your reality. What are you going to get? Business is hard. And that's not to say that there's not challenges in business. I mean, for me, I always have to change things up and be present and be aware of where's my energy required today, you know? So what we're inviting you to look at, that business can be fun, it can be change, it can actually, you know, for me, business is about people and the change that you can create with people in people's lives. And engagement is something, you know, communicating and talking to people has always been something that's fun for me. And then inviting people to tools and techniques that expand their life and make it better, then it's a win-win. So if you have a point of view that business is difficult, that you've got to work very hard for your money, then you will not be able to receive when you have a capacity to create with like effortless. And you will always have the point of view that you've got to work hard for your money.
And changing your point of view is just that. It's just saying, okay, I'm choosing for this to be easy, or I'm choosing for there to be ease in business instead of I'm always focusing on it's hard and then getting more of it's hard.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'm not saying here that challenges don't arise and we've got to choose and make different choices and change things. That's business, though, if you're willing to change and if you're willing to do what works, and when you're constantly evolving and changing, then you can actually turn all your problems into possibilities. What if business is the platform for turning every problem into a possibility that can contribute to you? And I see a lot of people, they like to have like favorite problems, and business is some people's favorite problems, and that's okay. Just know that if your point of view is it's difficult, then what you're going to have is it's going to be difficult. As long as you have a fixed point of view, business will always be difficult.
So I've heard people talk about, that was brilliant, thank you. I've heard people talk about like how even the word business, you know, implies busyness, and then there's like just that business is, it's just, you're just super busy all the time. You're like, right? So could you speak to that and how perhaps there's a different way of looking at business?
It was so funny because when you were asking that question, I was like, what is it that I do different here, you know? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like I get up in the morning every day and I have a choice to generate and create or not. And I usually choose to generate and create simply because I can. And one of the concepts of access consciousness is that you're an infinite being. And as an infinite being, you can be and do anything. Now, I can actually create and do something today or not. That's my choice. Every choice that I create is just like a spider's web. You know, the way the spider grabs the silk of the web and it shapes it into a shape, and then it becomes this amazing web. So for me, I continuously have a choice. I don't have to do anything. For what reason? I can do a billion things. For what reason wouldn't I do stuff that's fun for me? And for me, it is major fun to create.
Well, I think that's also the common misconception is like somehow business is supposed to be work, not fun and play and ease. So have you always operated from business is fun and easy? And
it's so funny, you know, one of the things that when you said that I was looking at, like we actually like take on these fixed points of views, and we take on the lies from people around us that we buy as truths that we're told, and then we actually don't acknowledge what we know, and we buy the lies and the fixed points of views as true and real rather than asking a question. So for me, now business is like a apparently I'm supposed to be working right now on a radio show with you.
Right. This is supposed to be work. Don't have any fun.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like if I had a point of view that this is business and this is difficult, then that's probably what I would create. Mm-hmm. Or if I had a point of view that I'm only supposed to work. I mean, I started this morning, my first class was 9 o'clock to 9:20, and then I facilitated a class from 9:30 till about 6 p.m. And then I came home and I had another couple of phone calls, and now I'm on a radio show with you. My point of view, though, is that I have a total choice to be here or not. And one of my targets and one of my big asks is that we actually have a different reality with business. Now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I'm going to go back a little bit because you said something. What is business to you? This is one of the things that you have to look at. What does business mean to you? What do you mean to business? What is business to you? Some people, recently I had a group that I was walking through and asking them questions about what is business to you. And they said men and cigars, you know. Business. And there's all these definitions of what business is. And it was so friggin' hilarious. So for me, when you look at what if business is creating a new world where it is the platform for the growth and the development of your talents and your abilities and your skills, and if, you know, learning to do new things that are fun for you and is easy for you, then for what reason wouldn't you develop yourself and grow yourself and outcreate yourself and become greater every day, you know? Mm-hmm. So what if and the other thing as well is that I'm in Lyon today and we're in this beautiful French apartment. We just had the most amazing, you know, French tuna, fresh tuna with risotto and beautiful red wine and Côte de Rhône. And I'm learning, you know, little pieces of French. Now, this is business. That's the amazing. This is actually business. So if I had a point of view that business had to be difficult and hard, how could I actually enjoy being in France? How could I enjoy bonjour, you know? How could I enjoy the French language? How could I enjoy the nouvelle année, the new year, you know? And how could I enjoy the people if I have all these fixed points of views that business is Monday to Friday in a corporate office? So our world is changing, and people's point of view around business and where business can be done has completely transformed. So we actually can create something completely different with business, and we can start to create something that actually works for you.
Could you speak to, thank you, could you speak to, like you guys, I'm sure you've heard it, the term follow your bliss, you know, and we know money follows joy, and a lot of people are like, well, how do I do what's joyful for me when my job is the thing that gives me the money to pay my bills?
Yeah, so, I mean, when you say my job gives me the money to pay my bills, as long as you have the point of view that you have a point of view that you cannot generate money doing what you love. So a lot of people that I work with, one of the points of views that have been completely, I'm looking for the word, entrenched in their universe and in their body, is that you cannot do what you love and make money. And it is such a lie that sticks people. And you cannot create one of the things we talk about in Access is you cannot create and you cannot receive when you're functioning from a lie, you know? So a lie is a lie. If you have the point of view, I can't do what I love and generate money and monetize it, then that's what you're going to create. Whereas if you start looking at what is it that I love to do, like grab some pen and paper and write down 5 things that you love to do. For me, I love to talk to people. I actually get paid for that. Okay? I can support people standing on my head. I get paid for that. So, so what occurs is when it comes to business, contrary to what we tend to believe, there is another way to create and to allow ourselves to become more successful when we actually do what we love and when we're irrational. You know? And when I say irrational, I don't mean running around the place with no clothes on and getting drunk. I mean choosing something.
Unless you choose it.
You can do. I mean, being irrational is choosing something that doesn't actually exist yet. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm doing something at the moment. I'm in France. This is my first foundation in France. I did a body class the other night. Last night we had a full house, fully booked out in the body class. So this is something that's totally irrational. I'd no template to function from. I'd no conclusions, and I'd ask questions that open the door to creating something different that I've been seen or told is actually possible. And this is the phenomenon and the wonder and the play and the joy of the Joy Business Tools, which are ask a question. You know, conclusion, when you have the answer, when you have the conclusion, all that can come into your world is that conclusion and nothing else. But when you're willing to give up your answer and your fixed point of view, there are always new possibilities when you just turn your head a little to the right. There are wonderful choices that you can make that will create way more for your life and living.
Yeah.
What if you could generate so much money and do what you love?
So when, let's say somebody's like, okay, I have a job that I feel like I need to pay my bills, and yet I really love to paint. And I know somebody's probably going, okay, so does that mean I quit my job and I just go paint? Or like, what allows people to get more into that energetic vibration to create what they love and get paid for it?
That's a great question. So if you know you enjoy money and it's fun for you, and if your job is paying you money, maybe you can make a choice, which is, I'm not going to work 9 to 5 Monday and Friday anymore. I would like some security for a while. So what I'm going to do is work 3 days a week and start to create my business and see who I can talk to, who is looking for a painter. I mean, when you look at artwork and painting, whether it be decorating apartments or creating beautiful murals, there is a demand for artwork. Every city on our planet has stunning artwork. We're in a time frame, a decade, heading into a new decade now, of massive change where arts and beauty and craft is so appreciated. So for what reason could you not get created if you're turning out beautiful work? And you can just ask, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And if I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And the other thing as well, Venus, is I'm not saying that this is comfortable, because comfortable is the enemy. You know, for me, choosing to create my business was not comfortable. Because every single fixed point of view that I had to be willing to outcreate it and eradicate it with the creation that I knew was possible. So these questions that you ask, they give you access to greater possibilities, and they're really what's required for you to actually get to what's going to work for you. And then you just go for it.
Yeah, it really is like a leap of faith. It's that
Yeah, it
knowing
is.
that something's going to turn out greater, especially if you follow your bliss and follow your joy.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a great example is like, okay, you don't have to necessarily, we're not telling you guys all to go out and quit your jobs.
No, not
But
at
what
all.
could you change so that you are able to do more of what you love and see what that creates, you know? And I even have a great example. I recently let go of a 50-50 partnership, and I just energetically was not a match for what I wanted to create. And so much has opened up for me since that willingness to be uncomfortable, like you said, and to trust that something greater is coming. And it's just such a great example, and knowing that something far greater than you ever imagined possible is possible.
Totally. And you know, possibilities aren't for everyone. They're for the risk takers. They're for the people that are willing to go beyond the lies that are keeping them stuck. And they're for people that are actually willing to take a risk and have no point of view about failing. What if you could never fail, you know?
Well, I think we're going to talk more about that on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
The student asks the teacher, "How do I experience transformation?" The teacher replies, "When the student is ready to receive deeper answers, the student then asks, 'How do I know what deeper questions to ask?' And the teacher replies, "When the student decides to commit to a practice inviting transformation, Level 2 questions will be revealed." Hi, I'm Tomas Garza, and as a teacher and host, I'm inviting listeners to enroll in the mastery of transformation by joining me on Decide to Transform, your bridge to Level 2 answers, Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, on OMTimes Radio.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Rachel O'Brien, and we're talking about going beyond need in business. And right before the break, Rachel, you laid a doozy on everyone. You said, "What if you could never fail?" Would you say more about that?
Sure. I mean, so many people that I have coached and talked to in business, they had failures, and they never allowed a failure to stop them. And failure actually is a judgment. I've done this wrong. Whereas if you're willing to look at failure as awareness, what do I know now that I didn't know before? A friend of mine who has an artificial intelligence business, I mean, he set that business up after having like 4 other businesses that didn't work. He knew, though, if he kept going that he'd get to what does work. So for me, it's like failure is a fixed point of view, and it is a judgment of what you did wrong. But what if you could never fail? What if you could do absolutely nothing wrong? And what if every single choice you make will give you awareness and give you more information?
Wow, that would be a completely different way of looking at it. Like you just choose and then see if it works or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then choose again. That's
No, it's such
amazing.
a bad way to create business.
Right?
I mean, what you're saying is like, what you're saying is that I cannot fail. I cannot do anything wrong. If it doesn't work, I'll learn something anyway.
So you always gain something. That's amazing. Awesome. So you also talked about being in question. Could you say a little bit more about that?
So basically, one of the things with Access Consciousness and the Joy of Business is we invite you to ask questions. And questions, if you have an answer, the only thing that can exist in your world is the conclusion of the answer. Whereas a question you actually don't know the answer to. You're asking with an open-ended, like, wonder, like a child. Where will this lead to? Hey, what would my life be like if I created my first product? What would I like to create? What impact would I like to have in the world? How would I like to influence people? You know, what would I like people to know about business? What would I like people to know about money? And it's just you start to open these questions where you're looking to gain an awareness of what you would like to create. And creation is not a process, it's a choice. And when you choose to actually institute your life, institute your business, then you're continuously moving all the time, and you're using your time to actually generate and create everything you've always knew you could.
Wow. And then you also mentioned that even every day, I think you said you wake up and you say, what requires my attention today? Could you say a little more about that?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in consciously creating your day. And what that means is being aware of how you create your day. So I get up every morning and the first thing is, I'm awake. So body, are you done with sleeping? Yes. Okay. Now what would I like to choose? Okay, I'd like a cup of coffee, or I'd like just to move. So, and then you look at, let's say you've 20 projects, okay? And you look at, where is my energy required? Is my energy required in my foundation class in France? Oh, it's required in a class in Copenhagen. What information is required? So it's like you're scanning your whole business and you're looking for where your energy is required. And what is it that you require information-wise? A project might require more information. Is it missing a person? Is it missing a promotion? And that's where you actually do an overview and get an awareness of who or what is missing to have every project be successful.
Could you talk a little bit more about that? Are you talking about creator, connector, movers?
Oh! Of course, we can talk about this. So one of the things that I've only really stepped into recently, I'm going to be really honest, was I actually did a map of my business, and I actually got someone to come in and I had this idea in my brain of this wheel, like a mill wheel. You know, I don't know if you know these in America, but in Europe, we have these old mill wheels that are hundreds of years old, and they move the water in such a beautiful way, and everything moves all the time. Mm-hmm. And I was looking to at a couple of workshops, and so that the movement of the workshop would be continuously growing right up to the date of the workshop. And in Joy Business, we talk about the 4 energies required to make a business or a project work: connector, creator, mover, and foundation people. So what I did was I added this wheel, and for any project to work, you actually require 4 people or 4 energies of people. And one of them is called a connector. And a connector is, just say, for example, if Venus is doing a workshop and you don't tell anyone about it. Your connector will be the person who, it's like the lady who goes to the hairdresser and she tells all her friends about this amazing hairdresser on 9th Street, and the hairdresser is booked out because people go tell people about their business. That's a connector. It's natural for someone to talk about a good product, a good service. It's something that they do naturally. They don't have to force. And every business requires a connector. Venus requires a connector so people know about you. And also the people who use your business are actually your connectors because they have experienced your service, so they can make connections with other people, and they're fantastic for sales.
That's great.
Now, the mover, will I go through the other three?
Yes, yeah, we got time.
The mover is someone who knows how to run a business. They are the ones who, they look at the business right now, like while I'm on to you, my host in France, Sebastian, just said, Rachel, we forgot the certificates. That's a mover. He knows, he's energetic, he's ambitious, he's aware of what's required for the future, and he knows what has to be put in place tonight for people to leave our workshop happy tomorrow. So he'll always look at the possibilities and ask what's required next. I forgot to bring the certs from London. So he's like, I know people won't be happy if they don't get their certificate. Rachel, can I get the certificate, please? And he'll print the certificate. That's a real mover energy. And then we have a creator, which is the person who are the dreamers, visionaries. They come up with all the ideas. They're always looking for what they can generate, million ideas, and then they're not the ones who institute. The ideas don't come to fruition if they can't pass the stick. So they have a phenomenal idea, and then they bring it to the design team, the graphic team, the people that institute the workshops, and they're fantastic in business. You do require a visionary, an ideas person, and then the fourth person is the foundation people who can do all three: connector, mover, creator. And this really is amazing, this foundation person as coordinator, because when you have all these energies in your business, this is where it truly can succeed and you can create a generative team.
And those don't necessarily have to be, they could be in a couple of those in one person. There could be, so it's not necessarily that you have to have 4 people. It could just be like the energy of those things can be in your business as well. Right?
Yeah. I mean for me, I have a capacity to be foundation person. I can see what's required. I'm naturally a creator and a connector. That's naturally what's fun for me. For example, I forgot the certs. So you've got to know what you're good at, and also you've got to know what you're not great at so that you can hand that over. Because if you're not willing to know what you won't do, then that area will be neglected and it'll lose momentum.
Right. Cool. And so thank you for sharing all that. That's beautiful. And it really fits into like, okay, going beyond need with business. It's like there are different ways that we can function and be with business. And now there's even like, okay, we can operate in like having these energies in the business. And you said something to me personally. You said this is like a completely different reality to business. Would you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's that invitation for everybody? Yeah.
Of course. So basically, one of the reasons that I thought I was bad at business is because I bought into business is done from this is right and this is wrong, and if I do this right, I'll never be wrong. And for me, that was never fun. It never felt like play. And the other thing was that most people function from these objectives in business. And an objective is all about like the result of making the money and being right and not being wrong. And it's always looking at a result, and it's never about choice. And for me, that always really felt like forceful, and it was an invalidation of how I functioned and what made me happy. So when I came to the Joy of Business and they talked about following your awareness, what do you know about business? What would you like to create? What abilities have you to create? That for me was like no judgment with business. In other words, I don't have to avoid being right by ensuring that I don't have to avoid being wrong by ensuring that I'm right. That for me was a completely different, radical paradigm with business. And that was the part that got me to look at, I can have a business and it doesn't have to be form and structure. It can be movable, it can be changeable. I can work anywhere in the world. And basically what I put into it is what I'm going to get out of it. And I started small, you know, and I continue to grow and I continue to invite possibilities in. And that really, business done different, a complete shift in how we generate business. That's really what inspired me and attracted me to become a Joy Business Facilitator.
Awesome. And I believe you have a class coming up called 5 Days to Explode Your Business. Will you tell us about that?
You know what? It's just such a beautiful class. Years ago, I realized that I had an ability to open the door to people where they had talents and abilities and actually support them to develop them and start their own businesses. And it's such a cool thing for me to see someone come out of judgment of themselves and start to create their own business and start to have fun and get excited about what they would like to create in the world and what impact they would like to have in the world. And these 5 days of business are, we come in and we look at what your viewpoints are about business. And of course, I share with people all the techniques and the tools that I have used to grow my business and to deliver these tools worldwide. So it's 5 calls on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It's Mountain Time, 12 in the day, so it's a lovely midday time. And then in Europe, it's 8 p.m. Is it 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.? I'd have to check again. And these 5 days of business calls, you really take a look at what is your demand for the new year 2020? What is your demand for the decade? What would you like to create? What's going to work for you? And then I'll take them through the creation wheel, which is the connector, mover, creator. And then we institute and implement some systems and some classes. It's so gorgeous. And we look at their financial targets as well for 2020.
Wonderful. And how do people find out more about that?
RachelO'Brien.org, and they can pop on over to www.RachelO'Brien.org. We have a beautiful sign-up page there, and also you'll find me on Facebook and Instagram. Rachel, R-A-C-H-A-L O'Brien.
O'Brien. Awesome. So that's how you find Rachel. And, you know, whatever you do, guys, don't choose 5 days to explode your business. If you want to change your business and the whole way you do business, that's awesome. That was a joke. So,
I knew it was a joke.
Yeah, you did. I was just like, well, maybe somebody listening didn't. They're like, did she just say don't?
Greatest way to motivate someone is tell them that they can't do something.
Yes. So,
and then they'll have to prove to you that they can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would love, Rachel, if you could maybe just share, if you could have everybody just get 1 or 2 key points from today, what would they be?
I suppose stop avoiding. Like, people spend their whole life avoiding creating what they would like to really have as their lives. What if today, I often see people, and you know what they're avoiding the most? The greatness of who they are. So when you avoid something, you refuse to have that in your life. So what if today you could actually stop avoiding, looking at your figures with money, or, stop avoiding pretending that your life is working for you when it's not. And then take a look at what could I choose and what could I change and what's the worst thing that can happen, There's so many times, and ask, what stories am I telling myself about money and business, and what if they're not true? I mean, that's where I started. What stories am I telling myself about money and business, and what if they're not true? And for me, I was allowing the financial abuse of my past, still affect my life, and I didn't want to live like that anymore. What different choice do you have here?
So are you saying that that it's helpful for people to really acknowledge where they are? And
yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't avoid the point of view that's currently creating your life. If I didn't avoid this point of view, what could I change? Just look at if you get nothing else out of the show, and Venus is such an amazing host, and she invites you to so much tools on the show. What if today you didn't avoid anything, you just started to look at your life and ask, what would you like?
And you can choose anything, folks. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been such a pleasure having you. Yay!
Wow. I
absolutely adore you. Take good care, folks.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.